Hello, everyone. My name's Philip. I'm from Creston, Iowa. And back in 2016, I created this blog called Revolution 2020. It seems pretty obvious title now, but it wasn't so much back then. Anyway, I'm just using it not to promote it, but just to as a kind of vehicle to talk about issues. Uh, and Today I want to talk about a constitutional amendment or legislation that I would like to see promoted and made into law in these United States. Um, my blog always opens on this vote graphic, and I really want to emphasize voting. It's the only real power that we have as people, as common people, to influence how policy will be made. And it's our only way to sanction the politicians that represent us, or at least claim to represent us. So everyone vote. We need to think of more ways to have legal power in our representative democratic republic, and we can talk about that later. But I want to draw your attention to the subtitle here: our revolutionary mission, place a prohibition on, and this part here seemed pretty revolutionary at the time. This was kind of Bernie Sanders was kind of talking about revolutionary, a political revolution, but what I'm going to go into here is actually a pretty old idea, and it's a progressive idea, and progressive in a more traditional sense, like Teddy Roosevelt and his progressive policies and what he was trying to achieve with those, or at least what we hope he was trying to achieve with those. So let's go look at what are we trying to put a prohibition on here. And well, I guess I have to start from the beginning. Well, darn it. Okay. Bear with me. I'm new at this. It's the first time I did this. So, this is what we want to do. Our revolutionary mission: place a prohibition on corporate lobbying and make government work for the people. So, this is a problem and a struggle and a political fight that's been going on for well over 150 years now. So let's kind of dig into what I was trying to get at with this article, and I want to draw our attention to these last two paragraphs. Okay, we believe that corporate lobbying has been a relentless and hostile bid to buy off the government through large cash donations so that our representatives will work for laws that benefit big business profits at the expense of our representatives' constituents, that is to say, you and me. We believe that many members of our government have deceived us in regards to their relationships with big business lobbyists, and for decades now have gotten away with these arrangements unnoticed. The biggest victory for corporate lobbyists occurred with the Supreme Court 2010 Citizens United ruling that corporations could be regarded as people under the law. We aim to see that Citizens United is overthrown and amended out of history. And then my last paragraph here. Our mission is twofold. Repeal Citizens United and pass an act through Congress, Senate, that explicitly recognizes that only flesh and blood human beings are people. And at the same time, we must introduce and pass legislation that prohibits politicians from taking donations from any entity other than private citizens. We can accomplish these goals, but only through the power of the vote. We must stand united and educate each other on the facts of how dysfunctional and corrupt our government has become. Candidates that are willing to make these reforms should be rewarded with our votes, while those who stubbornly refuse to end corporate donations, bribery, should be voted out of office and find employment elsewhere, maybe in the corporations that bribed them in the first place. Now, I do want to mention some thoughts I have about this. And it's this part, taking donations from any entity other than private citizens. So I do also think there needs to be, well, first of all, I think that private citizens should be able to donate to candidates they support. But I think that should be capped. And otherwise you'll just have billionaires donating as much as they like to the politician that promises to legislate in their favor. The other thing about this that I didn't mention in here, but I think is a fantastic idea, is a public fund for campaigning, and where every eligible candidate receives an equal share of the fund. Now, the problem is deciding who's an eligible candidate, and I would take the voting process further and have the people decide who's eligible and who's not by the number of votes they get. But that's a whole another topic. Finally, I just want to put this as kind of an add-on to this, as we're in primary season and we've seen what happens during primary season. I don't think that a party should have extra legal powers in choosing the nominee if it is in contradiction with the popular vote for that nominee. In other words, primaries should not be any different from general elections in that sense. But that's another topic for another day. So I just want to end there. This is the first time I've done something like this. Check out my webpage if you want, and I'll be putting up some more of these so we can get a conversation going about current issues that are vital to preserving what little democracy we have left. Thank you for listening.